Episode 16 of Young Sheldon brings an emotional crescendo to Georgie and Mandy's already fragile relationship. What was supposed to be a moment of growth and reconciliation spirals into confrontation, miscommunication, and subtle revelations of deeper fractures. The episode dances dangerously close to the line, separating temporary tension from lasting damage. While the duo has survived past hurdles with a mix of southern stubbornness and accidental charm, this particular conflict threatens to push their already tentative bond past the point of no return. The plot centers around a seemingly minor disagreement, an argument over parenting choices, personal goals, and the blurred lines of expectations. But as the dialogue unfolds, it becomes clear that the surface-level issue is a placeholder for much more. Resentment, fear of change, and the haunting shadow of a rushed marriage. A house full of echoes. The walls of their modest home have been witness to sleepless nights, baby cries, and laughter muffled by exhaustion. But now they're echoing with something heavier, words they can't take back. Mandy confronts Georgie about his lack of long-term planning. "You're coasting," she says, her voice trembling, not from anger, but from the weight of wanting more, fearing less. Georgie, still trying to balance his identity between the old-school Texan son and a modern father, retorts, "I'm doing what I can. I'm here, ain't I?" His voice cracks with sincerity, but it's laced with deflection. Mandy's silence in response speaks volumes. Their split was once a what-if, a whispered contingency. After this episode, it feels like a real possibility. Roots of the conflict. This episode lays bare the emotional architecture of their marriage. One built on hurried decisions, unexpected parenthood, and social pressure. Georgie and Mandy's connection has always felt earnest but unseasoned. They skipped the courtship arc and jumped straight into domesticity, hoping that love, or at least compatibility, would bloom with time. But marriage, especially a first one, is rarely kind to those who enter it mid-storm. And with their daughter now forming habits and memories, the stakes are higher than ever. Mandy, with her sharp wit and simmering regret, voices concerns about being trapped in a life she didn't plan. Georgie, with his habitual optimism, insists they're doing fine. That gap, the difference between survival and fulfillment, is where the real danger lies. The subtle tragedy. Conflict in storytelling often hinges on miscommunication, and this episode plays that trope with nuanced brilliance. Neither Georgie nor Mandy truly listens. They hear each other, but in the way one listens to an oncoming storm, bracing, defensive, waiting for it to pass. Georgie's tendency to minimize tension with humor feels tone-deaf this time. Mandy's sharpness, once playful, feels like armor. What starts as a spat about babysitting turns into a philosophical debate on who they are, who they're becoming, and whether their paths are even aligned anymore. At one point, Georgie says, "I married you because I love you." Mandy's reply cuts deep. "You married me because you felt you had to." It's not that they don't love each other. It's that love alone isn't enough anymore. Risk of the irreparable. The danger with a conflict like this is that it doesn't end when the credits roll. These are the kinds of wounds that fester off-screen, that seep into future interactions, that rear their heads during birthday parties, holidays, or quiet Sunday mornings. If Georgie and Mandy do split, this episode will be remembered as the turning point, the moment when choices could have been made differently. And if they stay together, this conflict will remain a scar they carry. Either way, it marks a before and after in their journey. It's especially risky because of their daughter. The show subtly weaves in her presence as a silent stake. Every choice the couple makes now has a ripple effect. And those ripples don't just touch them. They reach into the future, into the kind of co-parents they'll be, into the stability of a child caught in the middle. What this means for the show. From a creative perspective, episode 16 is one of the show's bravest moves. It sheds the cozy nostalgia and delves into real, grown-up relationship territory. The writers refuse to give the audience an easy out or a comedic bow-tie ending. Instead, they let the discomfort sit, simmer, and settle in the viewer's mind. This episode positions Georgie and Mandy as more than side characters or comedic relief. They're human, flawed, and most importantly, relatable. Their fight isn't cinematic. It's the kind you've seen or maybe even had. That realism is what makes the risk so profound. Because it feels real, the potential for a permanent split feels real too. Will they make it? That's the question hanging over every interaction from here on. Well, arc is,